The email hit at 9:12 a.m. By 9:14, everyone in the glass conference room had read it. Claire stood at the head of the table, remote still in her hand, slide frozen mid-sentence behind her. Q4 strategy, confidential draft. Madison from the far end of the table, legs crossed, manicured fingers folded over a leather notebook. Before Claire continues, we should address the elephant in the room. On the wall-mounted screen, Jason Patel, the CFO, cleared his throat. He was dialing in from Chicago. The subject line glared in bold. Claire's strategy plagiarized. And beneath it, a screenshot comparison, Claire's proposal, and another deck from 2 years ago at a competing firm. Side by side. Similar phrasing, similar charts. Someone had added red circles. Claire felt the air thin. She forced herself to breathe in through her nose, not here, not in front of them. I have never seen that deck before. A murmur rippled around the table. Madison tilted her head sympathetically. Claire, no one's accusing you of anything, but optics matter. Claire's pulse thudded in her ears. She had built that deck over 6 weeks. Late nights, takeout containers, reworking revenue models from scratch. Jason's voice came through the speaker. Claire, can you explain the similarities? She met the eyes around the table, Hannah from marketing, Brielle from ops, Daniel, the CEO, who wouldn't quite look at her. This is my work, she said clearly. If there are similarities, it's because market strategies tend to overlap. That's not plagiarism. Madison gave a small, almost imperceptible smile. And Claire understood. This wasn't an accident. By lunchtime, the story had metastasized. Claire walked into the break room and conversation stopped mid-sentence. Just saying it's weird. Hey Claire, Hannah's smile was too bright. Claire poured coffee she didn't want. Her hands were steady, her stomach was not. Someone had forwarded the email beyond the executive team. It was circulating across departments. She was always so ambitious, Brielle whispered, not quietly enough. Ambitious, the corporate synonym for threat. Back at her desk, Claire opened her inbox. 42 unread messages. 2 from HR requesting a fact-finding conversation. 1 anonymous email, guess integrity isn't your strong suit. Her chest tightened. Not now. She inhaled, counted to 4. Externally, she typed calm responses, happy to discuss, I stand by my work, please let me know a time. Internally, her thoughts spiraled. What if they fire me? What if this follows me? What if? She stopped herself. Someone had access to her draft deck. Someone had pulled an old competitor presentation. Someone had framed the narrative before she could defend herself. And the only person who'd known how threatening her promotion would be. Madison Blake. Senior Director. Madison's office was all white and glass, a curated Pinterest board of power. Claire knocked lightly. She looked up, all warmth. Claire, I was hoping you'd stop by. Were you? Claire asked. Madison gestured to the chair. You know how these things spiral. I'm concerned about perception. Did you send the email? Madison's brows lifted. Of course not. You referenced it in the meeting within minutes. I was forwarded it like everyone else. Claire studied her. Perfect makeup, neutral expression, no crack. You know this damages me, Claire said quietly. Madison's tone softened. Claire, this company values integrity. If you've made a mistake, owning it is better than. Madison leaned back. Then you have nothing to worry about. That smile again. It surfaced 2 days later. Claire hadn't slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw red circles around her name. At 2:17 a.m., she gave up and opened her laptop. She re-examined the competitor deck attached in the email. Metadata. Created by L. Reynolds. Former VP at the competitor firm. Current consultant for their company. Hired 3 months ago. On Madison's recommendation. Claire's pulse quickened. She checked Slack archives. Late-night messages between Madison and Liam. Private channels, unnecessary meetings, strategy dinners. Claire wasn't naive. The company had a no fraternization disclosure policy, especially for external consultants. If Madison was involved with him and if he'd provided that deck. Her stomach flipped. Orchestrated. She leaned back, mind racing. Was it possible Madison had used Liam's old company files to fabricate similarity, or worse, planted ideas during strategy sessions, then framed them as stolen? Claire needed proof. She made her first mistake the next morning. In a moment of frustration, she confronted Liam in the hallway. Did you send Madison that old deck? He blinked. What? From your old firm, the one circulating. His eyes flickered just slightly. I don't know what you're talking about. You're consulting on our expansion strategy. You had access to my drafts. He stepped closer. Careful, Claire. Too public, too emotional. Brielle was near the elevators, watching. By noon, the story had mutated again. Now Claire was harassing consultants. HR scheduled her for a formal review. Madison sent a company-wide note about maintaining professionalism under scrutiny. Claire read it 3 times. The subtext was brutal. That night, Claire sat in her apartment in silence. No TV, no music. Her phone buzzed with a text from Daniel. Hang in there, let's talk tomorrow. Not supportive, not condemning. Neutral. Corporate Switzerland. Claire stared at her ceiling. Her heart thudded too fast, her hands felt numb. They're going to push me out. Madison was too careful to leave obvious traces. But affairs created patterns. Private dinners, expense reports. Claire logged into the internal financial system. Search Blake Madison. There it was. 3 client dinners in the past month. Same restaurant. Same dates as late-night Slack strategy calls with Liam. Claire screenshot everything. Then she hesitated. Madison had tried to destroy her career publicly. Claire forwarded the expense reports to her personal email. Mistake number 2. Corporate IT flagged the transfer. By morning, she had another meeting request. The twist came from someone unexpected. It's Hannah. Claire was packing up files when Hannah appeared at her desk, pale. Can we talk? They went into a small conference room. I shouldn't do this, Hannah whispered, but this is getting ugly. Claire said nothing. I was in Madison's office last week. She had Liam in there. They were close, and she said something about timing the release. I thought she meant a marketing rollout. Claire's heart pounded. Release of what? I don't know, but after the email went out, she told Brielle she handled the Claire problem. Handled? Claire felt something cold settle in her chest. Will you tell HR? Claire asked. Hannah hesitated. If I'm subpoenaed, I won't volunteer. Of course. Toxic culture thrived on plausible deniability. But it was enough. Claire wasn't crazy. If Madison wanted a public humiliation, Claire would give her one. But calculated. She requested a full executive meeting. New findings regarding the plagiarism allegation, she wrote. Daniel agreed. Madison responded, looking forward to clarity. The day of the meeting, Claire wore navy, neutral, professional. She entered last. Madison was already seated, poised. Jason dialed in again. Daniel began, Claire, you said you had information. Claire connected her laptop. Slide 1 timeline. Slide 2 Slack logs showing Madison and Liam's private strategy sessions overlapping with Claire's draft revisions. Slide 3 expense reports from the same restaurant. Madison's expression didn't change. Are you implying something inappropriate? She asked coolly. I'm presenting patterns, Claire replied. Slide 4 metadata from the competitor deck, created by Liam Reynolds. I contacted my former colleague at that firm, Claire continued. They confirmed this deck was restricted internal material, not publicly available. Liam shifted in his seat. Claire turned to him. Did you provide this deck to anyone at this company? He swallowed, no. Under penalty of perjury. His jaw tightened. Madison finally spoke. This is a desperate attempt to deflect. Claire nodded. I agree, so let's be thorough. Slide 5 Company policy on undisclosed relationships with consultants. Slide 6 A photo taken from social media, a private account, but someone had screenshotted it. Madison and Liam at the same restaurant, not a client dinner, hands intertwined. Date stamped, the room went still. Madison's composure cracked for half a second. That's irrelevant, she snapped. It's not, Claire said calmly, because 3 days after that dinner, the email accusing me of plagiarism was anonymously sent from a temporary account. IT traced its origin this morning. She paused. To an IP address registered to Liam's home office. Jason's sharp intake of breath echoed through the speaker. Liam stood. This is. Daniel cut him off. Sit down. Claire's heart was racing so hard she thought it might burst through her ribcage. But her voice was steady. You attempted to manufacture similarities using restricted documents, she said. You circulated a defamatory email, and you did so while engaged in an undisclosed personal relationship that directly impacted corporate decisions. Madison's face flushed. You think you've won, she hissed. Claire met her gaze. No, she said quietly, I think the truth is documented. The fallout was swift. Liam's contract was terminated pending investigation. Madison was placed on administrative leave. HR launched a formal inquiry. By afternoon, the gossip machine had reversed direction. I always thought she was too perfect, Brielle murmured. Guess integrity isn't her strong suit, someone whispered near the elevators. Claire didn't participate. She returned to her desk. Her inbox was different now. Apologies for jumping to conclusions. Proud of how you handled that. Daniel stopped by in person. I should have supported you sooner, he said quietly. Claire held his gaze. Yes, you should have. He nodded once. The promotion discussion is back on track. There it was. Power returning. But this time earned through fire. 2 weeks later, the company announced leadership restructuring. Madison resigned to pursue other opportunities. No public scandal. Just a quiet corporate exile. Claire stood in the same conference room where she'd been humiliated. This time, she presented the finalized expansion strategy. No red circles, no whispers. Just numbers, vision, authority. After the meeting, Hannah approached. You were terrifying in there, she said softly, in a good way. Claire smiled faintly. Inside, the anxiety hadn't vanished. She still woke some nights at 3 a.m. replaying it all. But she had learned something. In a room full of gossip, truth alone wasn't enough. You needed timing, documentation, and the willingness to let your enemy underestimate you. As she packed up her laptop, she caught her reflection in the glass wall. Not humiliated. Not accused. In control. And this time, no one was forwarding anything without her knowing first.